French, the French-speaking African nations are being coordinated by Aida Tubaro, as well as Dian, who is representing the Asian Pacific, and the Asian Northern Central by Gashiming Dorsch. Latin America is being coordinated by Manuel Racino, and for the Caribbean, myself, Eureka Primus. The objectives of the Delve Exchange is to promote greater knowledge and best practice exchange, to strengthen the resilience of the ASM miners, quarry workers, as well as mining associations during the pandemic, as well as to enable global voice and visibility for ASM and quarry sector. The University of Queensland is spearheading the initiative. Their support team consists of Daniel Frank and Diana Alvarez, who you've both met today, Robin and Linda as well. Their partners on the project are the Association of Women in Mining in Africa, OECD, as well as ACP EU and UNDP. The Delve Exchange will function through different initiatives and activities, and will focus on the Delve Exchange group, which is the WhatsApp group, the Delve Exchange forums, as well as the exchange training. Open contribution, which is the core function of the Delve Exchange groups. Delve Exchange will grow into the premier knowledge exchange network for the ASM and quarry sector. The network offers members access to peer knowledge, solutions, and support. The entire initiative is focused on miners sharing their stories as well as their best practices. So in an effort to facilitate greater participation from miners, we have an assortment of options as to how miners can contribute. Share your knowledge and experience about a particular topic or practice, how it works, why is it good, how does it help, what it helps in the context of your work. Over the years, miners have changed techniques as well as advanced systems to improve their operations. However, those activities are usually done in isolation and aren't shared across borders. And for this simple reason, the Delve Exchange forums, as well as the Delve Exchange open contribution platforms, are being initiated. Regular prizes are also available for contribution in all of the Delve initiatives. Do you have a story about something in which you have learned, which will come within probably the second and third months onward into the platform? Not only sharing initiatives in which you've pioneered, but also sharing initiatives that you would have learned during the open contribution sections, and how have you applied it? What do you want others to know about what you have learned, and what does it help in the context of your work? Again, regular prizes will be shared for persons who contribute to the Delve Exchange stories. And lastly, the Delve Exchange Challenge Competition. Is there one problem or challenge in which your mining community face and needs help with? So tell us in detail about the problem or challenge that your mining community is facing. What are the causes of those problems, and how it will affect your community in the long term if it is not addressed? So it's not only identifying solutions, but also identifying critical areas in which miners, quarry operators, and mining associations need support, so that we will be able to better support you and better help you in the development of not only your mine, but also the sector in general across borders. How to share your story or your competition entry. One, the WhatsApp contribution. Record your story by way of a voice note, which you can then share to the group. And we're hoping that you'll be able to do so under 5 minutes so that other persons will be encouraged to listen as well as learn from your contribution. You also have the option of sharing your story via video recording. You can film holding your phone horizontally, practice your recording before you save and upload to WhatsApp. And again, we hope that your recording will be under 5 minutes to encourage others to listen as well as learn from your experiences. If you are unable to share or may feel comfortable writing your contribution, that is also completely okay with everyone. You can type directly in the WhatsApp group, and on your screen, you will see one example of that option. For persons who may be able to type their entries in the form of a PDF or a Word document, or in some cases, even a PowerPoint presentation, that is also encouraged that you attach it as a file and share it with us via WhatsApp. The core information to include with all submissions, irrespective of its format, is one, the title for your story. And if you can, say what particular areas will be focused on, a photograph to go along with it, as well as your name, gender, country, network, your association, if you are in association, and what you mine or quarry. Outside of the Delve Exchange open contribution groups, we will also have the Delve Exchange Regional News Group, which is a bit more open than the open contribution group, as that is specifically focused on miners, ASM workers, mining associations. For the Delve Exchange Regional News Group, we will also be open to participation from governments, NGOs, donors, academics, and other ASM and quarry sector advocates. How this will function is that the regional coordinator will select items that will be sent specifically to that group for wider circulation, as well as wider participation from persons, not only the members of the open contribution group, but also donors and the other stakeholders previously listed. The Delve Exchange Forums, which you're currently participating in, is a monthly regional forum on the network priorities. So we encourage all members in the WhatsApp group, as well as in the chat if you're comfortable, to share topics in which you would like to learn more on, so that we will coordinate our forums in accordance with what you deem as essential and the knowledge in which you would like to acquire, we can facilitate. Delve Exchange will also be hosting trainings. So network members will be given access to a selection of sister program training opportunities. At this point, does anyone have any questions on the information shared with them on the Delve Exchange, or any areas in which you might need clarity on? Thanks, Stacey. Outside of Stacey, does anyone else have any questions or areas for clarification? Since everything Since everything is clear, I will now introduce you to our presenter, guest presenter for today, Ms. Christy Ramnagan, who is the GEF Communication Coordinator for Conservation International Guyana. Christy holds a Bachelor in Communication Studies from the University of Guyana and has over 8 years of experience in communication and marketing. In her role at CI Guyana, she leads communication for the Eldorado Gold Responsible Mining Initiative, and over the past 2 years has had the opportunity to travel to various mining districts and work in close collaboration with artisanal and small scale miners. And she has also led the production of their communication tools. I will stop sharing my screen to allow Christia to share hers.
Thank you, Eureka. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Christia.
Good afternoon.
Just give me 1 minute, everyone. Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Sorry about that. As Eureka would have said, I'm Christy Ramlagan, and I'm the GEF Communications Coordinator here at Conservation International Guyana. Today, I'll be presenting on one of the education and awareness pieces that we have produced, more particularly during the pandemic. It's called our COVID booklet, our Working in the Time of COVID booklet. But before I get into the booklet, I wanted to just basically walk you or introduce you to our Eldorado Gold Responsible Mining Initiative that is being implemented along with other partners by Conservation International Guyana. On the screen below, you will see the partners, and we have partners at the state, private sector, and NGO level. We have the Ministry of Natural Resources, the Guyana Geology and Mines Commission, which is the regulatory body here for the mining sector, the Environmental Protection Agency, the Guyana Women's Miners Organization, the Guyana Gold and Diamond Miners Association, and the National Tushaus Council. Now, this responsible mining initiative being implemented with these partners looks at 4 key areas here in Guyana. We look at prospecting, ways of improving prospecting, low impact prospecting, so we can leave our forests intact. The GGDMA is actually leading that part with their technical services unit. We also look at processing, increasing recovery when we process. The Guyana Geology and Mines Commission have already commenced over a number of years mobile demonstrations just showing miners how to mine using alternative equipment that do not require mercury for processing. We also look at rehabilitation because we believe that if we increase recovery by using new methods, we can truly see the forest rehabilitated. So there will be no need to go back and mine areas that were previously mined because we're increasing recovery. So, the forest will be able to catch back itself, so to speak. And the other area that we look at is markets for responsibly mined gold. It's something that we're looking at to see if we can basically get premium pricing for responsibly mined gold here in Guyana. And under the Eldorado Gold Responsible Mining Initiative, we have actually registered a trademark for responsibly mined gold here in Guyana. This is the booklet that we have produced, and it was inspired by the Planet Gold Peru project. And it's basically, the content is basically gathered from not only information that we would receive from the World Health Organization and our Ministry of Health here in Guyana, but also information and guidelines from our partner agencies like the GGMC, like the GGDMA, GWMO, and the others. The aim of this booklet is really just to show miners how to mine safely. We promote wearing of masks, washing of hands, sanitizing, maintaining social distancing, and so on. Here in Guyana, mining is listed as an essential service. And so we just want to ensure that our miners are safe and they basically practice, all necessary safeguards as they work. We've also been imploring a lot of the general managers on the camp to ensure that their workers are kept informed and up to date with any changes in guidelines as the months pass by. This booklet has actually been disseminated in all of the regions that our Eldorado Gold Responsible Mining Initiative is being implemented, which is regions 1, 7, 8, and 9. And so far, we've actually been disseminating through our partner agencies because we here at CI have been out of the field for about a year. So my slide does not contain all of the pages, but at the end of this webinar, I'm sure that the booklet will be shared with you so that you can have a copy. We've been promoting less or little interaction at the landings, at the market areas. It's, here in Guyana, a lot of the miners basically after work and on the weekends would tend to gather at the popular spots. And that's something that we've been promoting for them to basically reduce their interaction there. Also ensuring that they pay extra emphasis when they handle their food and they prepare their food at the campsite. Temperature testing is very necessary. And also we've highlighted how to treat with anyone who may present symptoms of COVID-19. Also, what is important here is that a lot of indigenous villages are very close to mine sites or are directly impacted by mining activities. So we've also included a bit there in how to interact with those communities if you have to pass through or just enter the village for any time during this ongoing pandemic. The two links on the slide will direct you to Conservation International Guyana's website, specifically the page on the Eldorado Gold Responsible Mining Initiative, as well as a link to our Planet Gold Guyana page. Both links will have information on not only all of the activities that we're doing, but they will have copies of all the products we produce as part of our education and awareness campaign here under the Responsible Mining Initiative. So if you'd like to learn more about our activities and the products that we produce under the RMI, please be sure to check out any of those links. I don't know if anyone has any questions.
Eureka, if I may, not a question for Christia, so to speak, but more for the other participants who are involved in mining. Have you stopped mining, or how have you been able to work through the pandemic as it is ongoing with your mining activities?
If you feel free to unmute your mic, you can do so, or if you would like to type in the chat to respond to Lisa's question, both are acceptable and appropriate. So for the persons who are directly involved in mining, if you need me to repeat the question, I can do so, or I can type it in the chat if you haven't heard it. Lisa, there is one question in the chat. How is Conservation International measuring the impact of COVID-19 measures on the mining activities? And that question is posted by Stacy Hope.
Thank you, Stacy. At this time, as Christia mentioned, CI is not physically in the fields. So what we've been doing is trying to maintain constant contact with the partners within the Responsible Mining Initiative. And through those forums, the information that is fed to us, we use to amalgamate and understand what is happening on the ground. We've recently started attempts to get back in the field so we ourselves can also speak with miners along with the partner agencies to better understand the impact. So in essence, to give you a full sense of how we're monitoring it or what is the impact, I can't give you a total answer at this point, because it's a process that's ongoing. And considering COVID-19 does not appear to be going anywhere in a hurry, it will be a continuous process. I hope that answers your question.
Thanks, Lisa. Yes, it does. And I guess maybe just understanding how you're utilizing your local partners. Like what is some of the feedback on onboarding of the COVID-19 measures with these artisanal small-scale miners? I think my interest really comes from a place of how can we use different techniques or measures in different contexts, and what can I learn from Guyana to apply to DRC or to other parts, and then vice versa. What have I learned from other places that could possibly work in the Guyana context? I'm sure there was a question somewhere in there, but it was more like a comment.
I understand. From the work we've done over the few years, communication is key. You need to always be in contact with your partners and, if possible, with the miners. You need to listen to them, understand what the challenges that they're facing. You can't be in the cities per se and give a full synopsis of what is going on within the mining areas. So we at CI rely heavily on our partners, especially those that are in the fields. For example, the GWMO, the GGDMA, GGMC, they're always out there working with the miners. And they, as individual agencies, have a perspective that varies. Sorry, yeah, I'm not sure at what point I got muted. But what I'm saying is that yeah, the responses from the varying organizations are very different, as the miners on the ground will respond to each agency differently. So you need to really get on the ground, really trust your partners, and you'll get all the information you need to know what would be the best approach you can take from a country perspective.
And I guess, and one thing that Christia mentioned, you know, working with minors who are either working next to Indigenous communities or they are Indigenous communities, are you finding a particular group more receptive based from the feedback from your partners? And this could be female minors versus male minors. It could be Indigenous communities versus coastlanders. You know, are we finding one group being more receptive over the other? Because I am finding globally that you have some communities who are more receptive to COVID measures and others who they work to live as opposed to live to work. So they have to go into the field. They don't care about COVID-19, right? They're like, we have to go in and get what we need. So are we finding any particular groups more receptive?
Thanks for that question, Stacey. Even though we're still gathering information, so far, yes, we have found that more women minors and Indigenous communities, and that, you know, they're more receptive. Definitely.
Power to the women.
Just to
Thanks, guys. Thanks so much.
add to the conversation, the booklet was actually compiled following a lot of consultation with the associations, as well as the associations, the gold mining associations in Guyana submitting their own COVID-19 measures. In March 2020, after the first COVID-19 case was announced in Guyana, there was a lot of panic, as with most countries. As with most countries, essential items became very scarce, and miners didn't know whether to close their operations or whether to continue mining, as well as for those who were women in mining, didn't know whether to leave their children, for those who have children in the capital or other nearby communities, or whether to take them into the interior with them. So we've had members who made their own decisions and went either way. At the same time, for the GWMO, we had compiled a list of guidelines, because while the national guidelines give clarity on general actions that could be taken, general precautionary measures, we, as well as GGDMA respectively, and I believe it's captured in the booklet, we looked at how do you load your trucks, how do you get them into the back dam, what precautions to take there, within the camp, preparing for work, after work, during mealtime, if someone becomes sick in the camp, what precautions must be put in place, or what guidelines would we think is practical to put in place, because you're dealing with many different situations, and at the same time, you're dealing with people's lives. So I think it was essential what CI did to bring all of this information together in the form of one booklet, which now the regional network would be able to benefit from. The only question that I have with regards to regional dissemination of the information is considering the fact that Haiti, which will be joining us from the next session, they speak French, as well as Suriname speaking Dutch. Is there any Word format of the document that could be shared that we can have translated to accommodate those two countries?
Yeah, we actually have plans to translate the booklet. So I will definitely look into it, but in terms of a Word version, it wasn't designed in Word, so we don't actually have an editable version that we could share. But it's definitely something I'll pick up with you later, Eureka, for us to see if, you know, we could facilitate translating it to Dutch and French for the benefit of those countries.
And does anyone else wish to add any other point of view to the discussion?
Yes, as a follow-up to Eureka's good question, I strongly commend you on the booklet. I was just wondering in terms of communication, because I find in many areas that people don't like to read or read much. And you need to really get the word out to the people and for them to accept it. How you find that situation and what is being done to make sure that this good work that is prepared is really being given to the people for them to appreciate.
Thank you for your question. So apart from, yes, I agree with you. And a lot of miners as well, they prefer posters, just like one sheet, you know, something very visual. But we have actually been doing messaging, sending out messages as it relates to precautions to take working in the time of COVID. We have a local radio serial here in Guyana called Marundoy, and we actually have developed a character called Goldman. So we've actually had him on this program for about 2 times, like 12 episodes each, where we actually have him talking to fellow miners, and this reaches all the regions of Guyana, and they have a very heavy listenership in the mining districts. So we try to spew out as much content, not only on COVID, but in this instance, yes, we have put out over the past 9 months or so messages on how to stay safe during COVID on that program. And we also get on air on radio, and we also remind miners to be safe. But we have plans as we move along to do posters and flyers and continue this continue with messaging on this local radio serial program.
Good to hear that, because radio is very powerful and useful. And if you get a message that people can relate to, it will have much more impact and be more useful. Good.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions or would like to see clarity or add their perspective to the discussion? For the folks who are joining us from GGMC, has your agency been implementing specific COVID-19 guidelines for the execution of your role? Carlos, I know you unmuted, but we haven't been able to hear you. Is it just me or is anyone else hearing Carlos?
No, not hearing. So it's
Not
just
hearing
you.
either.
No,
I'm not hearing.
I don't hear nothing.
Carlos, if you're unable to speak, please feel free to type in the chat if that would be easier for you. While we wait on Carlos, I know we have a few small scale miners that are joining us from Guyana, as well as medium and one that balances between medium and large for Donna Charles, Alandia, Alexandra, as well as Stephanie and Diane. Are there any particular measures in which your operations have put in place for in response to COVID-19? Just in case some persons are unable to hear me, I've also typed it in the chat. And whether you'd like to respond via audio or in the chat, both are welcome. So while we're all unable to hear Carlos, he's typed in the chat that TGMC has implemented protocols and systems to protect its officers at the headquarters and in the field. These include sanitization booth, temperature checks of all persons entering the compound. As we await the response of the small scale miners that are present for today's meeting, please feel free to share with us what other topics you would like for us to focus on in the upcoming Delve Exchange forums. I know we have Paris here from Jamaica, who has a wealth of experience in bauxite, as well as a number of small miners from Guyana. I know I've already heard from Haiti some of the topics that they would like for us to include, but we want to ensure that we incorporate the topics as well as the core issues and solutions that each member would like to learn about. So whether you want to unmute and say it or type it in the chat, both are welcome.
Eureka, one of the topics that I'd like to see dealt with is that there is a strong, what should I call, anti-mining campaigns by environmental lobby groups. How are we planning to address that, to deal with that, to do the right thing, but also to protect our livelihoods? that is something I thought might need attention.
When you mention doing the right thing, do you mean mining responsible?
That's right. So this is why training is so important, because if you're culpable and not doing the right thing, then you know, you will get hit. But if you're doing the right thing, you know what to do and practice it. But there are some, let me be gross and say, fanatical groups who are so dead set on mining, no mining under any circumstances. We need to address that, because the good Lord has blessed us with these resources, and we need to be able to see how best to use it, how best to manage it, how best to proceed, and not to lay down and die.
I think it's
I've
a great topic. Sorry, Eureka.
Sure, no problem, Stacey, go ahead.
No, I was just thinking from, you know, the business case of mining and the argument that extreme fanatical environmentalists make against mining, who, and mind you, they probably all have iPhones that have been mined with minerals from DRC, one of the most conflict-ridden places, but that's another thing. I feel that there are like maybe two topics in that worth exploring. So one might be looking at how to open up a larger market, that's so making the business case for responsible mining to ASMs. I think once it makes monetary sense, that's always a good starting point for miners. And then maybe two, how do we bridge the gap between international buyers and ASMs? So how do we bridge not only from the responsible mining side, but really understanding what the market is asking of artisanal small scale miners? So maybe two things somewhere in there, but I think it's a really important topic, because we don't want our miners to be left out of a big market. You know, we want them to continue to thrive, but in a responsible way.
Quite right. You have to have a holistic approach to it. It can't be one-sided. Otherwise, you'll be just as guilty as the other guys. And so you need to make sure that all the stakeholders that will make a healthy, mining scenario take place. The miners, the government stakeholders, the regulators, and government need to take a responsible position, because they benefit for the country, but we need to be able to educate the media, the general public, not to just take wholesale what they hear from the anti-mining lobby, but to be properly educated as to what is happening and the benefits that they get from it.
Exactly. Yep. So I think you found your next topic, one of your next topics.
I definitely have. There are a number of initiatives that seem somewhat connected to what Paris has shared, because outside of the compliance to sustain livelihoods, you also see the emergence of discussions on lab-grown diamonds as well as recycled gold that will undoubtedly have an impact on the industry. So definitely this is a topic in which we can explore in an upcoming forum. And thank you so much for sharing that, Paris.
My pleasure. I'm very passionate about that, as you know. That's why I thought that it's something for us to carry on, because Guyana has so much resources and a future, but it can be smashed if not handled properly. And that's why I think that we need to give it a high priority and to be dealt with responsibly.
Regionally as well, this is a topic that I think would affect all of us. So even outside of Guyana's case, we still have mining taking place as well as quarrying taking place across the region. And even in doing research for this forum, I saw some articles about Jamaica and the bauxite industry and the environmental impact, and a number of arguments on persons recommending closure of some of the operations. Similarly, I know there are efforts taking place in Trinidad with their quarries. I'd spoken to some of the representatives there as well, and some of the operation owners that were concerned. So definitely this is something for us to explore as a region, as well as to increase awareness on compliance and um, practical avenues to maintain compliance as well across the region in an effort to sustain not only our businesses, but also the livelihoods connected to them and the sector in general. Because even looking at it from the perspective of what is happening in Guyana and the countless times in which small scale miners have felt as though their industry may be closing around them or may not be welcoming to their realities or welcoming to their existence altogether. This is definitely an area that we will include in an upcoming forum.
Good, good. So we can plan for this, Eureka.
Definitely.
Yes.
Does anyone else wish to contribute any other topics to an upcoming forum? I see we got one in the chat, but I can't quite see it clearly. Just give me 1 second. Methods to drastically reduce or possibly eliminate the use of mercury in small and medium scale. Do we have any mercury-free operation in the small and medium scale sector in the developing countries where the sector exists? Thank you for the topic, Carlos. I will reach out to a number of our partners as well as to the supporting team from the University of Queensland to discuss this further to see if there are any examples that can be used or any potential speaker that we may be able to invite to an upcoming forum. I know this is an area that Guyana has been researching and exploring for as long as I can remember, which was just about the early 2000s. And to date, I don't know if we were able to introduce any small and medium scale alternatives. As far as I do know, no. So we will definitely put measures in place as well as to consult within our networks to see if this is a topic in which we will be able to identify examples. As we jump over the 1 hour mark, because we're trying, at least we're trying as best as possible to keep our discussions within 1 hour. Please be informed. Just give me 1 second. While the Delft forums will be held once monthly, due to the fact that July's forum was postponed to August, we will be having 2 within the month of August. The next Delft Exchange Forum will be on August 29th, which will be a Sunday at 4 p.m. That time will be the same for Guyana, Haiti, Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, Grenada, St. Kitts, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, 3 p.m. in Jamaica, and 5 p.m. in Suriname. We will send out invitations to the upcoming forum, and we trust that you share it within your networks so that we can continue the discussions regionally, and we can continue to ensure that we address the issues that are affecting miners, as well as to provide solutions to the challenges in which miners are facing, as well as quarry operators and workers. Thank you all for your time today. And with that, we've come to the end of our first Delft Exchange Caribbean Forum.
Thank you for having us and for a useful discussion. And congratulations on that booklet. It was very useful. And I'm looking forward to getting a copy.
Thanks so much, everyone. It was very interesting
Bye.
and informative.
Thanks, everyone, and congratulations on the first forum.
Thanks, everyone. And I don't know if Marika's already sent the invite to the WhatsApp group here and if everybody's in the WhatsApp group here, but I'll share it for those of you who haven't joined. You can share there and hear about the future forums. Congratulations on the first forum for the region.
Bye, everyone. Keep safe.
Bye, everyone.
Hi, Diana. It's just
Hi,
us left.
Eureka. Congratulations. That went well. You're a good facilitator. So congrats. That's one down. 9 to go. You got some good
Indeed.
input on topics, interesting topics. So well done. Now you can relax for the rest of the Sunday. We can stop this recording.
Yes.
Stop recording.